the biggest problem happening with winery marketing right now. It's no secret to us in the industry that the wine industry is having a bit of a struggle moment. And I think that a lot of it, actually, most of it, there are a lot of problems, quote unquote problems, that are happening globally and economically that are outside our control. However, the one thing I feel like we do have control over in the industry is our marketing. And my goal and my purpose, really, at this point, after being in this space for over a decade, is to support wineries with their online presence, with their marketing, helping them reach their consumers better and really understand the way that marketing has evolved over the years with social media, with digital channels, with just all of the tech and AI and everything that's changing so rapidly. Because the reality is, if you're not online, you're not going to survive the next decade in this space. Even if you have an amazing offline experience, you have an amazing community offline, the chances are that online is just going to get more and more prevalent. And so, my goal in this session is to really just help you guys see what I see the biggest issues are within marketing right now so that you can change, so that you can adapt, so that you can adopt the new ways of marketing moving forward in the next decade, because you've really got to keep up with the times. There's a reason why we're losing a whole generation. It's because we're not communicating with them, we're not connecting with them, and great wine experiences shouldn't just end at the cellar door, not anymore. Wine is one of the most emotional, cultural, sensory, social, and deeply human products in the entire world. I don't think that there's any other beverage that there's other products, but beverages, I don't think that there's any beverage that has more depth, more nuance, more stories and traditions and culture. It is really one of the most fascinating products in the world. And I think that somewhere along the line, we just forgot how to communicate that online. We're great, wineries are great at speaking to people in person, about bringing people into their story, the wholesaler door experience. I don't know how many other products in the world offer a unique tasting environment like that, so much intimacy, so much education, knowledge. There's not really anything else like it out there. So our job is really just to transition that into an online environment. And there are so many ways that we can do that. And it's actually a lot more easy and simple, I think, than a lot of people realize. It's just that it takes time, it takes a commitment, and it takes dedication. You have to kind of treat the online world just like you would your cellar door. You have to invest. You have to have resources. You have to have people. You have to have time. And the investment that you have to make in online is nowhere near the price of investing in a cellar door, let me tell you that. So let's talk a little bit about what's not working. I think a lot of wineries are treating social media, and I have a image here on YouTube. So if you guys are listening on the podcast, then you can catch us on YouTube, which will be linked in the show notes if you want to see visuals along with this. But I'll do my best to describe. It's an Instagram account. I generated it with AI. They made up a name, Hillside Wine. So I'm not talking about any winery here, guys. I'm not bashing on anyone specifically, but I think a lot of you will be able to see either yourselves or other wineries in this Instagram feed. And it's just like it's like a magazine spread. It's quite, I'm sorry to say it, but it's boring. It's the classic vineyard shot, the classic bottle shot, the barrel shot, the people sitting down enjoying a glass of wine in the vineyard, but everything is so polished, so perfect, so curated, and it just does not translate to a younger audience, let alone, I think, any audience really. There's no movement to it. There's no humanness. There's no relationship building, right? So I think we need to start really focusing on being more raw, more real. Not everything has to be edited or with the perfect lighting or staged. Some of the actual best marketing is the most candid, behind the scenes, unedited shots. And from running multiple ads across multiple regions, multiple markets, multiple brands, multiple products, I can tell you that time and time again, the most raw, unpolished, unfinished content is the one that converts the most. So you can see I also put a fun post that Wenty Winery put together, and it's the millennial social team versus the Gen Z social team. And I've seen this trending on social media everywhere. But it just really goes to show like where we're headed. The millennial social team has this huge, beautiful paragraph about the morning fog and the richness and the freshness and this combination of stainless steel, oak, aging, fruit, crispy, layered with creaminess, depth, blah, 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 blah. That just doesn't connect. It's been done, it's old. There's a place for tasting notes, but it's not on your social media. Whereas the Gen Z social team, it's under $20 and she eats, which, if you haven't heard that language before, I had to use ChatGPT to really decode Gen Z language, and it's quite funny, but it's so polarizing. I don't think that I've seen any wineries using the type of language that Gen Z does. And I'm not saying that it has to be that extreme, but I do think that with social media, it's so much more about cultural relevance, and all the different platforms have a different culture behind them too, right? What you're posting on TikTok is actually very different to Instagram, very different to Facebook, very different to YouTube. So there's cultures within platforms, but then there's also cultures within generations. So it's just some food for thought and something that I think we should research. Let's get away from the generic promotional graphics. It's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to drive any type of actual bottom line. It's not going to get you business results. If you just want a set and forget page that just looks like your website, then you can do what you want with that. But if we're actually using these channels strategically and wisely, then we got to get with the program, people. So let's think about why people actually buy wine in the first place. Like, people don't buy wine because it scored 95 points or it was rated by X, Y, and Z wine critic. Yes, there's an element of social proof that ties into in your marketing in specific areas, but people really buy wine because of the story, because of the people, because of the lifestyle, because of the experience, the philosophy, the feeling, like all of these really deep human emotions and ways of connecting with other human beings. And that's why wine is such a beautiful product for us to start sharing these stories online. Let's get serious about it and move away from the scores and the points, and move further towards deepening the story and translating those values in a way that people actually care about. The ecosystem problem. This is another big issue that I see with online and with marketing in general, is that a lot of wineries and businesses are using different platforms in their own silos. Instagram is over here doing its own thing, email's over here doing its own thing, website's sitting over here doing its own thing, and they're not actually talking to one another. They're not actually leading people on a customer journey through them. You need a system that the energy that you're putting into Instagram is going to cascade into your email, and your email that you put, like all the energy you're putting into your email is going to cascade into your website. So let me give an example of that. A lot of Instagram accounts for wineries, if you go to them, so let's forget the actual posts and everything that I described on in the previous section, but even just the bio, even just the text underneath the name explaining what the winery does, how it's different, maybe some of its values. But then in the actual link, there's no link. There's actually nowhere for people to click and go to, or if there is, it's just going to a website, which I don't know about you, but there's not many posts on Instagram, actually none, that I see, and it says, head to my website, and I go back to the platform and click on the website and go to the website. That is just not the user experience on Instagram. Once you're scrolling and once you're in the feed and once you're like on content, you basically never even go back to the bio. The bio is the first thing you see when you decide that you want to follow someone, but it's not really the spot where you're going back to take action on in some circumstances. But your Instagram individual posts really need to lead to something else, like to another area in your ecosystem. So I talk a lot about lead magnets and talk a lot about growing your subscribers through your Instagram content and doing that through keywords. And I have some other videos that I can pin in the descriptions that talk more about that in depth. But I guess the point of this is you want to make sure that your followers have somewhere to go after consuming your content. They know the next step to take. They know that if they want to learn more about Shiraz, what freebie they should be downloading in your bio or in your links. If they're more interested in your values, like your organic values, how can I learn more about this? How can I understand what organic winemaking even means to me and how it changes the wine that I'm drinking? So making sure that your socials are leading people, which is your email. Guys, your social is great. It's great for brand awareness, great for building community. It's great for a lot of things, but email is really where you start to deepen the relationship through customer journeys, and it's where you eventually get sales. Your email list is the only asset that you actually own, like your email, the email addresses that you collect. If Instagram shuts down, has an out gauge, or TikTok, some political reason gets taken down out of your market, if you don't have an email address from all those followers, then you don't have anyone to market to anymore. So it's so important that you're collecting email addresses and your ecosystem, like it's all your channels are feeding one another, right? Once you have your email, like how built out is it? How automated is it? Do you have a welcome series that welcomes new subscribers, or are people just like walking through your cellar door, your online cellar door, and not even being greeted, like not even being said hello or being invited into your space to learn about your story? Do you have a abandoned cart set up? So like when people are shopping on your website and they accidentally get dragged away because their kids are busy, like asking them, nagging them for dinner, and they step away from the computer and then they forget to make a purchase and then they're just lost and then they're on to the next thing. Are you bringing them back into your funnel in your customer journeys? And is that all automated? Do you have a post-purchase flow? Once someone purchases from you, do they hear from you again? Because if they don't, then it's kind of hard for them to remember to restock with you unless they just really like your wine and they buy again, which just happens as well. But if you have an automated post-purchase sequence that's been set up in the back end, you don't have to even remember about it. It all happens behind the scenes. So there's so many ways we can leverage online that's just not being leveraged right now. And at the same time, so many ways that all of our channels can feed each other. So every action you take compounds over time. Being human online, I've already touched on this with the Instagram magazine style spread. But really, it doesn't take a lot. The wineries that are doing really well and see a lot of engagement and a lot of actual benefit out of their social media accounts, they're consistently showing the founder, the vineyard, the harvest, like what this year looks like, the chaos, the real moments, the things going wrong in the cellar. I take the founder through or the winemaker through the vineyards and ask them some questions about even the history of the brand or how it started or why they planted Shiraz or why they planted Cabernet Franc, or this year that we had mildew, what happened that year and how devastating it was and how did you pivot, like all of these things that happen day to day in the winery. So interesting to people who are not in the industry. And we forget that these are stories that are human, that connect, that go deeper than just plonking down a bottle of Chardonnay with a promotion sticker saying buy now. Can you see the difference? Educate, don't just sell. So there's a lot of mixed talk out there. Don't educate. People don't want to be educated. Gen Z doesn't want to be educated. They do, just not in a way that is condescending or a way that goes over their head or a way that is too technical. You can still educate in a way that is very human and very helpful. So, for example, one of our clients are located in Bordeaux, and we're trying to get into different markets and get outside of their sphere. And one thing that we realized is that Bordeaux is quite complicated. It's quite complex. If you ask a lot of people, standard wine drinkers who don't study wine or don't know a lot about wine and have never gone down the rabbit hole of the wine nerd stuff or haven't traveled, they don't know that Bordeaux is actually a place. They think it's a grape variety. So there's such an opportunity. We created this lead magnet, this guide, right, which debunks Bordeaux, talks some very simple. It's called Bordeaux Made Clear. We talk about like how Bordeaux styles are made, what to choose to suit your taste buds, what the labels actually mean, like all these little tips that give the audience more confidence when it comes to choosing Bordeaux or learning about the world of Bordeaux. Another educational series that I've built out for clients are like organic wine series, organic wine guides, like I was talking before. Like we all know organics is great for the earth, but what does it actually mean in the vineyard? How do practices differ from non-organic vineyards? What are the things that they have to look at? How does that actually change the wine style at the end of the day? How does it change the wine that the consumer is going to drink? Food pairing guides, how to understand Barossa Shiraz. There's so many different ways that we can build the relationship with our audience, which is marketing. It's just building a relationship, right? And the more that we can bring that offline setting that we already do in our tasting rooms into an online space, in a modern environment, in a way that the consumer engages in everyday life, that's really the aim of marketing and how I want to see it change for more wineries around the world in the next 5 to 10 years. Who knows what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years? We're probably going to have some simulation where people can come to our winery from the other side of the world just like through the computer. It's going to be absolutely wild what's going to happen. But if we don't catch up now, if we don't stay on top of it now, then how do we expect to stay on top of the next 5 to 10 years? Again, customer journeys. So we've just spoken about customer journeys a little bit, like your welcome flows, your post-purchase flows, your Instagram keyword automations, abandoned cart, sunset flows, welcome to wine club flows. There's so many email customer journeys that we can set up in the back end that we do for our clients time and time again, which intentionally guides people deeper into your world without you actually having to do anything. Yes, you have to set up the journeys in the first place, but once they're there, it's set and forget. You do have to update them and you want to make sure that you're constantly improving them. But the time that you have to put in is very minimal once you've already done the initial work. And it's helping people get to know you from their phones, from wherever they are in the world, without having to come to your winery, to your place of wares. And if they do want to come, great. You can also capture all of your offline people and funnel them into your online journeys after they leave the cellar door. What happens when they leave the cellar door? Maybe they make a purchase. And do you ever see them again? Yes, there's a percentage of them that you're getting into your wine club, but how long until they drop off? Find another winery to buy from. And for how much longer could you keep them in your ecosystem if after that offline experience, you invited them into your community on Instagram, you invited them into your community, into your emails, you continued the relationship offline? Think about how much longer you could keep that customer for. It's so much easier, in quotation marks, to hold on to a customer, to nurture a customer, to get more value out of a customer than it is to find new customers. So why aren't we going deeper with the relationships we already have? Wine as a product has everything you need. There's products that have to invent this stuff, that have to make this stuff up. We're so blessed that we do have story, we have place, we have people, we have travel, we have food, we have culture, we have ritual, we have emotion, we have tradition. We don't have a wine problem. We have a communication problem and a connection problem. So we just need to take everything that we already know about wine, translate it into an online setting in a way that speaks to these newer generations. And I'm really excited to see what the future has in store for the wine industry when we just start adapting to this stuff. So I hope you guys got some value out of this. I hope you guys got some inspiration. I hope it gave you some motivation to finally set up that welcome flow, to finally redo that bio on Instagram, to finally start creating some content that has a pure objective, to finally connect your ecosystem so that all your channels are actually speaking and working together and compounding on one another. I'm going to keep sharing more of this kind of information, both here on YouTube and on the podcast. So be sure to subscribe or follow along. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What did you take away from this? How has it opened your mind? How can you add to the conversation? And I'll see you in the next video.